Hi everyone, welcome to the new episode of AI Makers Unpacked series. And this is a series wherein we bring in the best of the line, marquee, seasoned, proven, progressive AI analytics leaders. And it's not just about their body of work, it's about their what I call professional journey, the trials and tribulations, the crest and trough, and how they have seen this whole world of analytics AI evolving from their own lens. And for this particular episode, we have a very special invitee and guest. It's Vijoe Mathew. Vijoe is Global Director Analytics at AB InBev. Now, Vijoe has a very progressive and a fast forward 17 years of experience, professional experience. And in addition to being a Global Director Analytics at AB InBev, he has played long and very, I would say, progressive stints at Honeywell and Tesco. Welcome, Viju. Welcome to AI series, AI Makers Unpacked series.
Thanks for the invite, Sameer. Really appreciate. Hello
Yeah.
all.
So I think one of the thing I have noticed, Viju, about you is a passion. I think whenever I've spoken to you offline, sidebar, during the conversations, and we had multiple of those, how did you manage to keep this passion and enthusiasm live?
No, I think it's very important, right? I think the your team takes the leader's energy, right? So if the leader itself is down, then don't expect the team to be energetic, right? So I always believe that when you are talking something about anything, right, it should be convincing. People should believe that, man, this guy really believes in it and he really has a passion for it. Then only that energy passes to them and they start believing in our dream. So I always believe that it's very important for a leader to show passion on any topic that he or she is talking about.
But also, let me take a I would say, double click on this. How do you keep your energy live? I mean, there has to be some secret sauce. There has to be some formula over there.
No, there is no formula, formula as such, but I really enjoy every day. I really believe that every day is a gift. And that's what the reason learnings are teaching us, right? With COVID and all of that, I myself lost a lot of my friends, right, who are in my engineering mates. So my motto in life now is, man, enjoy every moment, right? Because you never know the world we are living in. We never know what's going to come next, right? So it's live today, live the moment, enjoy, right? Because today is a day to enjoy. Today is a day to make do something meaningful, right? Today is a day to create a legacy, right? So don't leave anything for tomorrow is what I believe.
Today is a day to leave the legacy. That's rightly. Now, Viju, let me back up and come to, I would say, which many of our audience and viewers would like to hear. It's about your professional journey. Give us a peep into your professional journey. How did you started? What all kind of, let's say, uh, drivers you had while you were going through different stints in your career, and what kind of learning outcomes you had in these different organizations? Would be happy to kind of know more about that in detail, please.
Sure. So, Samir, no special prize in guessing that I'm an engineer, right? Because by default, 80% of the crowd will be engineers. So I am also an engineer. But I was a mechanical engineer and I wanted to do something in mechanical engineering. And I did my master's in industrial management from Catholic University of Leuven in Belgium. That's one of our head offices of ABI now, right? So, and I wanted to do something in procurement because a lot of subjects I studied was in procurement. From Belgium, I moved to UK and I applied for a procurement job and I got my job luckily with Tesco. Tesco is the world's third biggest retailer, and it was a purchasing analyst role. And I was thinking that it's a great launch pad for me to become a buyer. Fortunately or unfortunately, there was nothing about buying in that role. It was all about MIS of those days. Your Excel, VBA, SQL access, building dashboards, creating insights out of data, creating value out of data, and creating insights and stories out of data, right? And I started loving that role. And after a year, I met up with the head of actual analytics in Tesco's, and he kind of agreed to mentor me, and he started mentoring me on SAS because there was no R or Python at that time. SAS, basic statistics, machine learning, and he offered me a job in the data science team or there was called analytics team, data analytics team in Tesco. That was my start of my career in analytics. So like, it was nothing planned. I always wanted to become a buyer. By mistake, I got into analytics because my role was an analyst role. Then I stayed with Tesco for around 12 years. I did multiple roles in Tesco's. I started with engineering and energy, how to do energy optimization models reduce the energy consumption of a company like Tesco's, how to reduce the maintenance cost, how to go into proactive maintenance cycle by predicting the life cycle of equipments and predictive maintenance. That was my world for like 4 years. Then I moved to retail analytics. I started building solutions in spacing solutions, ranging solutions, your display solutions, pricing, promotions, marketing, you name it, all of that, supply chain, logistics. Because 12 years is a big time. I stayed 12 years in Tesco.
And that's my question, Viju. And it's very interestingly because I must have encountered 400, 500 AI analytics leaders in terms of having a conversation. Very rarely I've seen analytics AI leaders putting in 12 years in one organization and looking at spanning the whole what I call the genre of analytics. How was this experience at Tesco, Viju? If you can please kind of give much more details about what you kind of managed and did over there, and how did this 12-year period go by? I mean, I'm sure there is a 7-year itch, but with the working professionals now, it's like a 3 to 4 years itch. But how did this whole experience go by with you?
Yeah, I'll be very honest here, Samir. Right. First of all, Tesco was a very fulfilling experience. And when you work for a company for 12 years, that company becomes yours, right? You start being part of that culture, you being part of that, being a brand ambassador for that company. Nothing but gratitude for the experience that I got from Tesco's. And the entire business was my playground, right? There is no one space in analytics I believe that I haven't touched in data science in Tesco's over the 12 years. But I have to admit that in 9 years, or 8 to 9 years, I was in UK. So when you're working in UK, you don't see this culture of job hopping, right? So in UK, people are known for working for 12 years, 14 years, 20 years, 25 years. So 9 years lived in UK and worked for Tesco's. So I never, this thought process of changing the job never came to my mind itself, right? So I never knew that there's something called moving the jobs, right? I moved to India in 2012 as a manager because Tesco was building their center in India and they wanted me to come and head the practice in helping the then VP in building all the data science practices in India. And even I bought my first home in Bangalore, and that was a throwaway distance from Tesco's back gate. Because idea was again, I was thinking that I'll again gonna retire in Tesco's because I never knew that people change jobs, right? But
Right.
I think after 4 years staying in India, then I came to know that man, actually there is something called job changes. People do change in jobs, right? So India kind of corrupted me in that sense, right? Before that, I never knew that people ever look for a change of jobs, right? But great experience, right? Because Tesco is a retailer, right? And that's a 1% or 2% EBITDA business, right? And they cannot have any fat. They cannot afford any fat, right? They need to be as lean as possible, right? And I think my basic culture of value creation came from Tesco's. In Tesco's, you really need to really justify your role pretty much every day. Why you need to invest on a team? Why you need to have analytics? They don't do analytics for being fashionable. They do analytics only for one reason, and that reason has to be that it has to either increase your top line growth or it has to reduce your bottom line cost, right? So I strongly believe by that my biggest strength is that thought process towards value creation. I always think solutioning from a value creation perspective. I really don't care whether the solution uses a neural net or an A plus B equals C on an Excel file. It's none of it's least of my botheration. What I really believe is what solution makes maximum value for the business. And that entire thought process of value creation came from Tesco because Tesco is an environment where everybody has to justify why
Right.
we need analytics, right? So in that sense, it's that culture, that thought process that Tesco's gave to me, it was really great, and that's what I follow throughout in my career, even after moving from Tesco's.
Right, right. No, I think very, very absorbing thing what you mentioned. I mean, what I'm just trying to take away. I mean, retail industry players like Tesco, working over there is nothing like it's like a daily soap opera, power packed daily action kind of a thing, and you have to, as you rightly said, justify your worth in terms of what you bring to the table. Now, you touched upon a very interesting aspect, Viju, which is what I would like to kind of ask you in detail: value creation in analytics. Now, I'm sure we all have seen today there are bunch of interventions around analytics, engagements around analytics, which is happening, and many of that seems to be very nebulous, esoteric, as you rightly said. I mean, there is a jazz around that, but not enough emphasis is being given on the business outcomes. value creation, transformation, innovation. Now, in your own experience, and this could be, I would say, a summation of your current, previous assignments, how do you see this whole formula of value creation in analytics or through analytics coming along? And what are your own best practices you have inculcated to kind of bring this, what I call really a business outcome on the table, leveraging analytics?
Yeah, again, a great question, Samir, right? So if you think about it, 10 years back, for companies to have a data science practice was a matter of pride, right?
Sure.
Everybody wanted to say that, man, we got an AI practice, we are doing machine learning, AI. So these are the most misused words in the first place, right? AI and machine learning and deep learning or analytics or data science, right? So 10 years back, it was fashionable for many companies to have a data science practice. But if you had seen, Samir, right, many companies actually downsize their practices because, man, 1 year, 2 year, 3 years, people will bet on it, assuming that the value is gonna come, but not forever, right? Think about the environment that we all live in, right? Man, there's no one business which is having an easy ride, right? Cost constraints, cost cutting, being value conscious about what they're investing on, it becomes a big topic for everyone. ROI on capital investments is something that everybody is taking very, very seriously in today's world. In that sense, right, in that sense, I really believe that data science teams, I strongly believe that data science is a cost. I would say it's a luxury. So there's something called BCP, right? Process continuity, BPC, VCP, right? BCP,
Right.
business control process. I forgot the full form, but BCP means what is bare minimum required for a business to run. That includes the cost centers, the basic IT infra, all of that, basic finance, all of that. Analytics doesn't come in the basic BCP of a company, right? Analytics is a luxury. So when you're investing on a luxury, you really need to justify why I need to invest on this luxury. When I'm investing 5 million or 10 million on analytics, I really should be able to justify why I am investing on it, right? So, and that's why this culture of value creation becomes very important, right? The biggest challenge, Samir, right, in the past was, if you think about most of the companies, right, the claim was we are making 500 million in value creation, 200 million in value creation, but nobody has seen this in the finance books, right? So that then the whole thought process of value creation itself got questioned because the finance guys and the leaders started saying that, guys, somebody is claiming 100 million in value creation, but I can't see in the books. So when somebody has created 100 million, it has to be impacting some books, right? It should be on the P&L.
And
Where
it should
is
be validated by the finance folks.
yeah. So then what I saw in the market in the last 5 years is that, man, people start believing in the value creation from analytics because a lot of things become very notional, right? Very notional value. Numbers are highly inflated. I had an interview 2 years back, and the center head that said that our center realized 1 billion in value realization 2 years, and looking at the revenue of that company, 1 billion in 2 years was like impossible, right? So, in I can take you an example from ABI's world, right? And in ABI, we are doing a great job. We actually are making great investments in the value creation framework, right? There is a team itself of VC. There's a VC team headed by a VP of business whose entire role is to validate what is being claimed as value creation by every business, every team, right? And they are bringing cutting edge technology and cutting edge data science to even validate, especially when it comes to top line projects, right? It's very difficult to quantify a value because somebody's doing a pricing project, somebody is doing a marketing project, somebody is doing a promo project, somebody is doing a discount project. The end goal of all these projects is to increase the sales. So what initiative gave the actual value out of these four? It's highly debatable in the absence of proper science, right? And that's exactly what ABI is doing. We are actually
So,
building.
that's a very great point, Viju, what you touched, and the reason I chimed in because help me also understand how do you design this entire project or engagement before even you come to the aspect of touching upon a business outcome? What is that framework, if I may,
Yeah,
which you have drawn from your experience, which comes handy to you in terms of designing this kind of a project and then the associated business outcome? Can you throw
yeah.
some light on that?
I mean, again, I think again, ABI in that sense, they are doing an absolutely brilliant job. So we have adopted a framework called DVF,
Say that
desirability,
again.
DVF,
Okay.
desirability, value, and feasibility. which means that how much desirable is one project, how much feasible is that one project, right? And what is the value coming off of that project?
Hmm.
So what we believe is that we should only do a project where the value is highest,
Right.
feasibility is easiest, and desirability is highest, right? Think about a solution which is supposed to make great value, but implementation is too difficult. Data readiness is not there. People are not passionate enough to implement that solution. And the biggest challenge with data science teams is that we cannot influence implementation beyond a certain limit, right? Because
Sure.
we are not in that business, right? We are a center who's doing analytics for the business, but implementation has to be is something that the business leaders need to own, right? So that commitment on desirability, like people watching saying, guys, this is a solution I want. This is a solution I'm going to take as my target for the year, which means that somebody's who really passionate, right? So we use this framework called DVF, desirability, value, and feasibility to define projects. And every year we do the same exercise. We do this exercise of DVF and try to identify what are the projects with the highest DVF value, giving the highest ROI on our capex investments or our investments in general, right? And we only go with solutions with the highest DVF value. That's the first thing, right? And second thing that I'd say something good in ABI is that the concept of shared value targets, right? Because sometimes what you see is in certain businesses that there's a value target on the data science teams, but nobody from the business is owning those targets.
Very true.
Whereas data science teams can do a lot of wonders on the system, but if there's not a leader who actually is very passionate and implements those solutions on the ground, manages the change management and make the value happening, man, it's very difficult for a data science team to own that target. So in ABI, again, one good thing that I see is that the targets that we carry, and ABI was already moved away from the conventional KPIs of quality, on time delivery, which was the operations KPI long time back, right? First time right and on time. They were the magical KPIs of the operations in the previous world. We have moved away from those concepts, right? We are purely now saying that, guys, our targets need to be much more forward looking, right? What is the final outcome? Final outcome needs to be dollar. There's only one thing that everybody will understand, that's a dollar, right? What's a dollar? Show me the money on the table, right? That's the thought process that we follow, right? So three things actually. One, having a framework called DVF. You can, those who are interested, they can research about DVF framework. It's a lot of articles are available on DVF framework. Second thing is having shared targets with the business owners, right? And ensuring that it's not just a target for the data science team, but for the entire business unit. And the third thing is a very strong framework for value realization, right? Actually, I was about to say that, Samir, right? We are actually using cutting edge data science techniques for value realization techniques, right? Just
Hmm.
control, randomized samples, man. We are doing a lot of techniques in actually even quantifying, right? And what it means, Samir, is that if I have a 200 million in value realization, hypothetically, doesn't mean that that will finally boil down as 200. That 200 could become 100 or a 50 or a 10 based on the decision of the value creation team. So that strong is that framework that we have built in ABI.
Nice, nice. Now, this is, you could see me listening with rapt attention because this is akin to a practitioner talking about the whole art of what I call not only the possibility but the reality of analytics here. Because you rightly said, and this DVF framework is absolutely, I would say, a true gem because unless the projects goes through a very very methodical, clinical, seminal kind of a, let's say, framework, it won't see the, I would say, the light of the day. And second, what you rightly said, the business owners need to also have a skin in the game with the data science analytics team just to ensure that there is a optics and, I would say, validation all around. So great points over there. Now Viju, let me also step back, and this is more about your professional journey. 17 years is a big time kind of a thing, and at some stage, as you rightly said at the beginning, it was more by, I would say, uh, an accident you joined and came into analytics here, which is true for many of the professionals. But were there incidents or stages in your life where you felt you should have been doing something else?
Very honest answer is no, to be honest,
Mhm.
because luckily in my career, right, I had always had new challenges. So and I always believe that challenges keeps you young, right?
Absolutely. I can
I
see that
cannot.
on your face. So,
I'm not saying I'm young though, but no, I always believe that challenges, right, keeps you young because then you start thinking, right? I cannot imagine doing a role where everything is settled and it's all about running the show, right? I cannot imagine me being able to fit into a role like that. And for me, luckily, right, touchwood, luckily, I've been always in spaces, where I always joined companies where they were going through that transformation. Just goes 12 years, man. That 12 years was really a transformation journey. ABI, if you think about it, we started the center in 2017. I started the company in 2018. It was a 50-member team in 2017. Today is a 350, 400 strong member just in India.
wow,
And
wow.
globally, it's like an 800 strong practice, right? So we were always having this adrenaline rush, and we were always about the next big opportunity, identifying the next big problem statement, uh, committing on the next big value creation target, developing the best leaders. And that's what we really believe in ABI, right? Because data science is all about people, right? If you think about myself, my technology cost is only 10% of my entire budget, right? 90% of my budget is on people because people makes all the difference in data science. It's a people centric business, right? Building the next gen leaders, next gen, people who are really really passionate about data science, about value creation, living that culture, right? So that's what I believe in, right? That's what I live every day. Either I'm developing some great talent, I'm mentoring and supporting great talent and developing the next level leaders and next level practitioners in data science, or I am on a run to identify the next big opportunity in the business that gives the best value for the business, right? So I honestly never felt that I should think about anything different, to be honest.
Awesome, awesome. No, also at this stage, what you said, I mean, which is all about the facet I want to touch outside of the framework, what you very nicely articulated. There is also an art of stakeholder management. Now, irrespective of the company you are in, one always comes across various stakeholders, internal, external. Uh, in your view, how have you kind of created your own, I would say, art of managing stakeholders? And it's not an easy thing because stakeholders are humans and humans have what I call emotions and moods and all. And the moods and emotions are never static, which also sometimes decide or may alter the decision making. Uh, how do you think? I mean, and this is a question which is more for the aspirants, what I say, the potential leaders, and even the leaders who are finding the next level of, I would say, their kind of leadership quotient. What, in your view, should be done to enhance and build this leadership or rather stakeholder management piece?
And again, Samir, right? It's a great question. Thanks for asking this because I was having my session with my VP day before yesterday, and I was telling him that the success of any project, right, in data science or in any technology, right, is the relationship you are building with your stakeholders. Science is secondary. Primary thing is how are you building your relationship with your stakeholders, right? I had seen places where analytics teams are seen as a team that runs away with the cherry of the cake, right? Let me make it a bit more, let me explain a little bit more, right? Sometimes the general feeling is that, man, I have a great opportunity, right? And I am the head of, say, a department, and there's a data science team that's working on that solution. Sometimes what happens is that there is great success stories being built in that solution, and the success stories just becomes the success stories of the analytics team, right? And people start running away with the trophy, right, at the final leg. And that's the biggest mistake people are doing, right? Because what I try to always do is I never go into the podium, right? My role is to get my stakeholders to the podium and take a backseat. That's the way you help them build the credibility, right? Because whatever I do, right, it's for them, right? I'm trying to make them successful. It's the and what my team success is a byproduct of that,
Hmm.
right? uh, how will you go that long mile with your stakeholders, and when you get to the podium position, how will you slightly move, take two steps back, and let your stakeholders run with that success story, and let the stakeholders take full credit for the success story, right? That's very important, because think like a business, right? Think like a business, right? Anybody can recruit 5 data scientists to 10 data scientists. Building a 10-member data science practice is not a big deal, right? When I am a central organization working for other entities in the business, why should they invest on me if I go with this idea of running away with the trophy, right? They would say, man, we have an opportunity to create a 50 million success story. Let's build that success story in-house. I don't want to give it to that central team. I will do it myself, right? All I need is 10 data scientists and one manager, right?
Sure.
So don't allow leaders to think like that. And that depends on your leadership qualities, right? Your leadership qualities should be such that what is in for them is something that you should be very careful of, right? How are you going to project them in every platform? How are you ensuring that every presentation on our success stories are being presented by them, right? That's very important, because I believe that in any project, 80% is on the domain side, 20% is on the science side, right?
Sure.
Because as data scientists, I'm not domain expert in anything. I do supply chain, I do logistics, I do finance, I do commercial. But hand on heart, I'm not a domain expert in any of these spaces, right? We are able to do projects in any space, and I believe that every data scientist needs to be domain agnostic, because data science is a domain agnostic science, right? You can be doing marketing one day, you can be doing rocket engineering analytics another day, right? You don't have to be a rocket engineer to do rocket engineering analytics, right? I'm just making it up, but important thing is giving due credit to your stakeholders and ensuring that they are getting the limelight when a success goes live, whenever a project goes live and it makes success, right? That's very important. And if you go with this idea of running away with the cherry of the cake or the trophy, people people won't stop. People won't continue collaborating with you, because they will see that, man, what's in it for us? We created a 50 million story, but what's in it for us? Somebody else came in, built a story, and ran away with the success story, right? So that's what I do, Samir, right? I always ensure that success stories are built for them, and it's them who are actually presenting these stories to the higher leadership. Of course, we support in those forums, but ensuring that they are the colleagues who take the podium positions, because I believe that they are more deserving, because without their domain understanding and their support and their passion in implementing these solutions, right? Anybody can build solutions, but implementing solutions and creating value out of this, it requires great leaders and people with great passion.
Absolutely, absolutely. I think one of the facet or dimension, Viju, and this is alongside stakeholder management value creation, is pressure, stress. I mean, as leader, you go through different, I would say, aspects about managing pressure, stress, but invariably, and you started off with this entire conversation that things have changed in COVID. We are all working virtually, and the scenario of this hybrid working is going to stay for some time. More importantly, in your own view, how have you handled those situations where pressure starts taking a toll, or there is friction in terms of too many, I would say, diverse opinions happening across teams or externally, wherever. And third is this whole aspect about kind of also ensuring that you have your own me time. So, how do you deal with that kind of a situation?
Yeah, and stress is something that we all live with, right? There's no escape from that. That's when you're working in a fast-paced environment, it's a given that it will happen, right? Not everything will is controllable in your workday, right? In your workspace, a lot of things which goes against your plans and all of that, and you can imagine when you're building 100 strong teams, how stressful that could be, with people not even joining on the last day, right? You imagine, right? But my mantra is that always give a level best and then let it go, right? Because there is no point in we being too conscious about something which you cannot control, right? If you haven't done your homework, you haven't done enough to get it right, that's then you should be worried about. But if you are giving your level best, right, you knew that you did justice to something, that's the best you could do when it comes to doing something, right? and you did something with the best interest of everyone and with the best intentions, and if something is not happening right, uh, man, I don't really worry about it. And I'll also tell this, Rosami, right? Data science, right? Data science is an experimental space, in the sense that if you're not failing, right, that means you are not thinking and you are not doing anything, right? Because in my mind, man, only 40 to 50% of projects succeed in data science. If you are
True.
really betting on ideas, right? If you're playing safe and you're going with conventional thought process, then you won't fail, because you are only betting on few things which you know that will deliver value. But if you really have a risk appetite, I would say that many 50% of your projects are succeeding. They would achieve 100 or 200 or 300% more than what they were supposed to deliver, and that will pay for the entire 100% of the projects, and that will give a 20 times ROI of the investments, right? So I don't even I tell this to same thing to my guys also, right? Say guys, nobody's here being measured on the outcome of a solution, right?
Hmm.
Data science, when you start a project, you don't know the outcome of a solution. You don't know whether something is possible. Because I always say this, right, Samir, right? Data, either it got a story to tell or it doesn't have a story to tell. If it has a story to tell, you do certain techniques, you do everything that you can, that story will come out. If data doesn't have a story to tell, you bring the best in the world, you use the best technology, a story won't come out, because just simply because there is no story to be told from that data set, right? So for me, I don't even measure people based on the outcomes, right? I really measure people based on their passion, their ownership, right? In taking up a solution. Because I always say that, guys, if you want to build next gen solutions, you need to bet. You need to bet big time and assume that 50% of what you do succeeds, right? Me as a person, right? As a person, about my me time, very honestly, Savi, right? Uh, Weekends I completely switch off. I don't, I don't, I don't, I don't work at all. I have never worked. Whatever the case may, right? Whatever the outcome may be, I don't work on weekends, right? I don't. I completely switch off on weekends, and that's my time to spend with my family, with my son, my wife, and my parents, and all my friends. I don't take work to the weekends. Weekdays, luckily I thank India for that. Luckily we live in an environment where we have time till 11, and we start our days by 11. Well, whichever companies I worked in India, whether it's Tesco or Honeywell or ABI, my days always started in 11 at 11 in the morning, right? But when it will end, it for a leader it's very difficult to to predict, right? Because for me, for example, I work for all zones. I have teams in NAS,
Yeah,
MAS.
absolutely. And you mentioned about 12 hours, Viju. Even that for putting up, let's say, 72 hours in a week is some time. It's some
Yeah,
time. Let,
but
let, let me also chime in with, because my whole idea of this conversation with you, and it's very interesting because I'm trying to kind of take a lot of what I say, unlayering of a professional leader like you. One of the facet which is, I think, resonating very well today, and it's very topical, is this quintessential challenge of performance assessment. And when I say challenge, because it's never, I would say, 100% kind of a, let's say, proven that what's the right performance evaluation and assessments. And uh, we go back to our days when, as our managers used to give feedback, we always used to say, no, it's not working. And now the baton has shifted to us while you manage a large team. And I'm sure there are situations where this whole performance assessment, and I'm not just talking about in the context of ABM, where your previous organizations, and overall as you've experienced, what do you believe should be the right approach in terms of evaluating a professional who's working in your team, of course?
yeah, so there are two ways to it, Samir. Right? We need to understand the role of that person, right? There are roles which are purely technical, right? The expectation is that person, he or she needs to be purely technical, right? A great coder, a great solution architect, right? And the role is purely technical. In those spaces, it's pretty much black and white, right? It's all based on the quality of the solutions he or she is building. It's very easy. But think about a center like ABI, right? Here, we expect everybody to be a leader.
Hmm.
I expect my fresher IITN who has zero experience to be a leader, and I would expect my senior managers also to be leaders. Because why I believe is that in a center like ours, right? I am ABI, right? I'm not doing something for some any customer. I am part of the business, right? I want people who consider this role as if they are running their own business. If they are running a shop, how they run, right? How will they try to make it profitable, right? You didn't want to make your business non-profitable anyway, Samir, right? So I definitely look for people who wants to think that they are running their own business, their own show, which means that how much passion they are bringing to the table, how much appetite they have in identifying new problem statements, right? I always ask this to people, right, guys? I am not going to measure anybody on the outcome. Outcome as in, of course, man, the solution that we're building there needs to be world class.
Right.
That we will always ensure that it's world class solutions. But outcome as in the final outcome, whether the solution was supposed to bring 10 million, but it only made 5 million, will I make a data scientist accountable for that? Honestly, no, right? Because if the day you start making them accountable for that, then people will have some, you know, aversion towards taking certain projects, which is high risk, right? So I always say that, guys, let's do our level best. Let's create great solutions. Outcome is, maybe 20% influenced by you, but there are 80% influenced by other factors also, right? So I always measure people on passion, their thought leadership, and the way they think when they're running the show, right? I can really see people who really think that they're running their own business, who are owners, right? Ownership is the right word. Who are really owners, who comes back and tells me, Vijoe, I was doing this project in supply chain. I found there are two, three solutions in three problem statements in logistics, which we should think of, right? For me, that's the most important thing, right? I always believe that uh, in a center like ours, right, it's very important for everybody, irrespective of the levels, everybody to act like owners, everybody to act like leaders, right? For me, that's the thing, and I bring always try to bring people with that DNA, right? In my team, being technical is a given. I always tell this to the colleagues who join me. For you to join a degree course, you have to cover your PUC. Likewise, joining our team, you need to be technically brilliant. That's a given, but that's not the USP that you should be carrying. That shouldn't be the only USP that you should be carrying, right? The USP that should be carrying should be how great thought leader you are, right? What is your ability to identify a new big problem statement? What is your ability to work with stakeholders? What is your ability to sell a concept? What is your ability to get the buy-in from stakeholders, right? That's the most important thing for me. For me, that behavioral part of a colleague makes bigger significance or same significance compared to their technical capabilities.
Awesome. Awesome. So let me shift gears and come to rapid fire, Viju. And this is absolutely a different, I would say, delayering of your, I would say, leadership profile. And by all means, it has to be a rapid fire, which means only one sentence, one word will do actually. What keeps you awake at night?
Nothing keeps me awake at night.
If you wouldn't have been where you are today, what exactly you would have been?
I think I would have been a procurement lead or something.
If one word is what your people, not only at your current organization but previous organizations, if they have to describe you in one word as a leader, what do you think that would be?
It's a sentence. A leader is as good as the worst performing employee in your team. If somebody considers a great leader, that means everybody in your team are better than you.
And as a professional leader, what is that one thing which you believe you would like to improve upon?
Improve upon.
Yes.
I think my risk-taking appetite, man. I don't think I think I need to go beyond what I'm doing even today.
And any regrets
No
in the
regrets, man.
professional life?
No regrets in life at all.
10 years down the line, where do you think AI analytics as an industry would be?
I don't think it will go the same way as that of BI. You saw what happened to BI, right? MicroStrategy developers 10 years back were the highest paid. Now my 10-year-old son can do his own BI with Power BI or ClickView, whatever, right? Drag and drop. I really don't think data science will reach that maturity, but of course, supply will significantly overtake the demand, right? The tools will become smarter and smarter, right? So it's very important for people to think beyond technology to build a long-term career. That's what I would say, because I always believe that there is always a place for problem solvers. There is always a problem. There is a space for value creators. Technology will keep on moving, right? It was R, Python, now Azure ML. You keep on moving. The tools will get smarter and smarter and smarter. But I don't think in data science it's very difficult to take out the human element out of it, because put it this way, Samir, right? Any solution can build any platform can build a solution, but the art is moving from 40% accuracy to 90% accuracy, and that requires human intervention, working with stakeholders, understanding the problem statement, getting the right data sets, all of that. So I don't think that even after 10 years we will reach a place where the maturity that BI reached, for example, right? BI has completely democratized that space, right? Anybody can now do BI, but I don't think in data science that kind of maturity will happen even after 10 years.
Absolutely. What is that one word, Viju? And there are a lot of academic institution students, potential aspirants who would be watching this particular series. What is that one word of advice you want to give to them who are desiring to get into analytics, AI, data science?
First of all, guys, it's a very democratic space, right? Again, it's not one word, right? 10 years back, the definition of data scientist was that you should have a master's degree in what is that? Sorry, MSc statistics, right? Or you need to be an economist.
Or
Then
operational research? Yeah.
5 years back, it was that you should have a degree in engineering. Man, today none of this applies, right? If you are passionate, you are willing to invest, man, anybody can get into data science. And the best beauty with data science, your learnings are free, data sets are free. If you become a doctor without getting a patient, you cannot improve your skills, right? If you become a lawyer without getting cases, you cannot improve your skills. But if you're a data scientist, man, there are so many opportunities, data science problem statements available and data available. Man, you can keep on solving as many problem statements as you want and keep on honing your skills. So, and that's the beauty of data science. It's a space for anybody. The only thing is you need to be very perseverant, and you should be, you should work hard towards that dream, because it's not something that you can read and learn. You have to practice and learn. That's the beauty of data science.
Absolutely. Which you must say, I think over the last 50 odd minutes, I was listening with rapt attention. And in fact, one of my reason of making this conversation much more multidimensional was all about unlayering of your professional experience, right from how have you managed stakeholder situations to kind of building up a world-class or rather next-in-class AI analytics teams to also looking at this whole performance management as a sum total of kind of changing that expectation, and also what do you carry in terms of your professional experience which could be beneficial for the aspiring, I would say, workforce. Must say, I think there is a treasure trove of, I would say, content which has been built in last 50 minutes. And I would urge everyone to listen to this because this, in my own experience, what you said, Viju, comes from very power-packed kind of a, let's say, practitioner's approach. Because when you start exuding projects, engagements, success or failure is not in our hands, but it's all about that learning outcomes. And this is what came out in terms of what I call a very multidisciplinary approach to data science, AI analytics, what you have done in your previous assignments and what you're doing at AB InBev. And that's what makes what I call a 360-degree AI analytics leader. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate and wish you all the best in your future endeavors.
Thanks for the opportunity. I'm hoping that somebody finds it interesting. So thanks for the opportunity, son.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Viju. Thanks again.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you.